when did you watch Avesham?
Uh, well, technically day before yesterday. If
Okay.
like when we are
Right,
recording,
right,
so
right,
day before yesterday.
right. So yeah, so that's the latest Malayalam film we watched, Avesham, and I like the fact that in the credits alone, they put reintroducing Fahadh Faasil, Fafa. So,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
was so when I saw that, I knew that just as always, I'm in for something very surprising from him, like like the way they portrayed in the credits, and the way he
Yeah.
always surprises us. So and I was just so I went without watching the trailer. Okay,
Oh,
I went without knowing anything. I just knew, okay, Fafa is back on big screen. I have to go because the last film I saw of him in theaters was Malay Kunya, Malay Kunj, or
hmm.
something like that.
Malekunya. Malekunya.
Malay Kunya. So that was the last one. I think that came in 2022. So after that, it had been such a long time to have seen his work on the big screen, and I was so excited for it. You know, even without knowing what's gonna happen in the film, what Avesham means, what's it
Yeah.
about. But when I was booking it on Book My Show, I saw the synopsis that four college boys get in trouble and they look for local support. So and you know that was enough for me to get hooked in just by reading that one liner uh,
Okay.
and so today let me start with the fact that how possibly can Malayalam cinema come up with a film with apparently such a thin plot line but still so entertaining for 2.5
I know.
hours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's what my first observation was. Uh, and I was kind of expecting the story to be like that only, like, okay, it's going to be like a very simple kind of story, very linear probably, but the execution will be very different. That is what I had felt when I had watched Romancham also, because Jeetu Madhavan made the characters very, very relatable. But here it was, and here I am guessing it's because it was engineering and this and that. I could also relate a lot to it. Uh, that the ragging scene and this and that. So so many factors that were there. The friendship, and then Fafa just coming in and doing his magic. I think it has to do a lot with the way the characters were written.
Yeah.
Even though it's a very linear plot point, it's the way the characters were written and the way the situational comedy, the screenplay, everything, the dynamics, everything just worked together so well. So they just made a very simple foundation and they built a nuanced, complex world around it.
Yeah.
That's how I see it, basically.
Yeah, and what I liked was, so Fafa is not he's not the general protagonist in the film or even the antagonist. Like
Yeah.
he appears later in the film, and his entrance is also so understated in a way and yet funny. And so at that time you don't really get the persona of a like the local don or the gunda, as they keep saying in the film.
Yes.
And what I liked even more after that, like once he's introduced, we get to know him through the eyes of those college students. So from
Yes.
their perspective, like all three of them look at him very differently, right? Uh, for
Yes.
for BB, he is portrayed differently through his eyes. For Ajju, it's different, and
Yes.
for Shantan, it's different.
And then,
So it's like you get to see different shades of him in a way, and just the fact that once Fafa is introduced, I think Avisham becomes a different beast, like
yeah.
it's a different monster.
Completely
That film, the dynamics changes altogether. So like, what did you feel about the fact that uh, he was, you know, he was a grounded gunda, and yet underground, grounded yet underground. So
Yeah. That's and the interesting observation that you made, that yes, we just see Fafa through their lens, these three
Yeah.
characters, and at the very end,
Hmm.
when he's turned around and we actually see his face and what he's feeling, like then we get this whole 360-degree view that okay, this is who is, like this is also this part of the persona which completes him as a person.
Yes.
And so yeah, so that's what, when you say that grounded yet so underground, I think that's how I see it, that how it comes together so gradually
Hmm.
that it's like peeling an onion. So
Yeah.
after one incident is happening and we are seeing one persona of him, and we just keep second guessing because Amban, he is just
Yeah.
telling all these stories and we are just second guessing, is it true, is it a
Hmm.
fake story? And by the end of it, how it is revealed that okay, eventually everything is true and he
Yeah.
is like this badass gangster dude that we should be scared of. I think that spin to it was just so well. Like you probably knew in the back of your head that yeah, he could be that dangerous, but you were always doubting.
Yeah.
So when it gets confirmed, it is still like, it was at least for me still a surprise. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now it has gotten confirmed, and I still feel surprised and kind of satisfied that okay, now I know. So that is the beauty of the direction and the screenplay, basically.
Yeah. And I'm glad you pointed out Anban, and his performance was again, I think he was equally owning the space as much as anybody
Oh,
else. And so when you said that his storytelling was so funny and yet it was compelling, that's why the whole Damshraj sequence becomes so interesting, because how BB then discovers, okay, how everything he said was true, and the marks on his back, they
yeah.
have come via this game, and then he fears for his life that if he doesn't come
Yeah,
up with the answer, he's gonna end up with the same fate. Uh, because
exactly.
and it's such a bizarre sequence, that whole Damshraj sequence, and you were right that you can't really second guess there that why this scene is being stretched so much, like what's gonna happen, like you don't know why
Right.
is he getting so agitated, and if they don't answer, what's gonna happen after that. And his acting in that scene, like, because he has to
Super.
repeat the same scene with different expressions, right? He has
I
to
know.
he has to portray that film in sign language, but first he starts happy,
Yeah.
the small and the big knife, and then and then he goes out of frame. That was the funniest thing, when he goes out of the frame. That was the
Oh,
funniest thing.
so
And then it keeps getting funnier with his angry face. Like,
funny. I know.
with angry face, also he's moving out of the frame. So, so, so,
Oh, it's
and when
hilarious.
you
And
and when you get to know why he's doing this, why he's getting angry, it gets
correct.
funnier.
Exactly, exactly. And the way the tension builds up, because that lady, she's like, say all the films that you know. And
Yeah,
then, his expressions, and the camera is completely zooming in on his face.
yeah.
And the lady's just saying all the names. These guys are saying all the names. Like, how do you, in a funny scene, you have managed to build so much tension,
Hmm.
curiosity? It's he like really Jeetu Madhavar. Props to him, man.
I think it's as much as direction, it's also editing, because you
Yes.
can't really
Editing, music,
yeah,
camera
everything, but
work, all of it.
yeah, I mean, you can't possibly churn out this funny a film at that length and that thin plot line. So off the record, we were talking about the length of the film, right? Like you said, you
Yeah.
have gotten used to Malayalam films being a lot longer now. Uh,
Yeah.
but for me, I think even the length and the other flaws of the film are sort of compensated by the performances in the film by everybody.
Yes.
Because
Hmm. Hmm.
of course, there are cracks, there are loopholes, but you kind of, you want to let them go because you're enjoying throughout. Like, I
Yes.
was entertained throughout the runtime. I was also kind of cribbing about the fact that it could have been trimmed a little bit more, and because the second half was kind of dragging and stretching a few scenes which could have been easily left out, and it would still have been a funny film. But so coming back to the character. So do you think apart from Rangan, and to a certain extent Amman as well, the backstories of the characters, like I thought the three students didn't have enough of their backstories. Like, okay, their parents are shown, and they are once they get their
Hmm.
students admitted to the college, they go back and there is a back and forth on call and everything. But
Yeah.
not enough is shown about their families or what they were doing before coming here, or their childhood or whatever. So did you think that the
Hmm.
character arc on those three could have been a little more?
No, for this film, I did not mind that they didn't have a backstory as such, because obviously they're fresh out of school, uh, and this is their first year of college.
Hmm.
So just the context of them being friends and knowing each other. So I thought it was okay. Like, I was okay with it. At least personally, I was okay with it. In the back of my head, I never thought that, oh, I needed a backstory for this. I needed enough context,
Hmm.
because I felt that in the world building within the film itself and just the college life, because it's so uh, focused, laser focused on the college life and them just trying to get this revenge on their seniors, and it just doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
It just stays on that track. So I felt that, okay, because it's so laser focused in this particular linear storyline, I really did not need a backstory, because the motive was already clear by the college students. We have all There was enough context set off. Okay, they were getting ragged really really bad, and with the Kutti and gang. So all of those things were enough for me, at least, that okay, I did not need that much of a nuanced backstory for all three of them. I think I was pretty much okay with it. And even like for the length, it honestly did not pinch me. And I say this in my review also that, okay, I was really, really trying to figure out, do I find any of the aspects underwhelming in the film?
Hmm.
Or is it just me being a Fafa fangirl that I'm willing to ignore anything and everything? But I really thought hard about it. But I genuinely could not find myself, nitpicking also that, okay, maybe this could have been better. Maybe, yeah, they could have trimmed this and that. From my end, I just had a great time, and I just could not nitpick. Like, even if I had to force myself to nitpick, I honestly couldn't.
Like, see, entertainment wise, absolutely, there's no question that that we were not bored, or we didn't complain. But so the only reason I pointed out the backstories of other people was because Rangan's character was written so well. Like,
Yeah.
his backstory was explained so well. He has so many different shades, and his emotional quotient is so high at
Hmm.
different points. So in comparison, I just thought, because as much as Rangan was important, the other three guys and were also equally important in the film.
Hmm.
So in
Hmm.
comparison, I just thought that it was a little imbalance in between the if you compare Rangan with the other three, whom he
Hmm.
ends up considering as his own, right? Because of the mom connection as well. So I just thought
Hmm.
that maybe they could have dug a little more deeper with their backstories, uh, uh, because and not just them. So for example, Red, Kutti and gang, right? In the first half, they are given so much of prominence. They
Hmm.
for no reason they beat them up. I get that to some extent. I get that seniors can be like that,
Hmm.
and they rag, and
Yeah.
it can go overboard. But the importance that gang was given in the first half, in second half they are
Hmm.
just trashed, like they are
Yeah.
nothing, almost
They don't
nothing.
matter.
Yeah,
It's done.
yeah, and same goes for Reddy and gang as well. So those antagonists were introduced in such a way that, okay, I thought it's setting up for a huge second half, maybe something's gonna
Reddy
happen.
still comes around. Reddy
He comes
still
around. He
comes
comes around,
around. Yeah.
yeah, and like Kutti and gang also goes to Reddy for some sort of protection
Yeah.
as well.
There's
So
some connection. Yeah.
they sort of try to get together. but I just felt that, like the boom that they had for the antagonist in the first half, it was a, it was, it just went down a little too quickly in the second half. Like underwhelmingly, it was taken away from, the anticipation and the hype that it was creating. So that
Hmm.
was just because a good protagonist needs an equally good antagonist as well, to
Correct.
build that tension up by the climax of the
Correct.
film.
I necessarily did not feel like see it from a protagonist versus an antagonist view, because I feel that Ranga as a character was both in a way, because for me his he was helping in a way in the beginning, that okay, we were feeling very happy that yes, he's helping these three boys, and by the end we know that how it was kind of negatively affecting them, and they kind of understood and got that maturity and realization that okay, it's all not rosy. Okay, we
Mm.
are getting distracted. Our careers are going to get spoiled if we don't study and if we fail our exams. So, from my perspective, I really did not see as protagonist versus antagonist. I felt that it was just like a self-realization journey. In fact,
Mm.
when Rangan realizes that they have called Reddy, like Bibi has called,
Yeah,
Reddy,
yeah,
and he goes completely like berserk, like something just switches on him, it just flips, like all the promises he made to his mother and all gone for a
yeah.
toss. So I think that those emotions were portrayed really well. So I felt that this was more of Ranga's journey than it being a protagonist versus antagonist film.
Yeah, I mean, I get that when he gets mad, when he gets to know that, Reddy was invited here through them. Uh,
Yeah,
but that lasted only until he killed Reddy. Once he goes
yeah,
into the house into a frenzy, for some reason it looked funny as well. So if you
yeah,
remember,
it
this is
is,
this is a
it is
callback
very
to
funny.
it's a callback to Kumbalangi Nights, right? So his character
It is funny.
goes into a frenzy at the end of that film as well, and the three guys, the four
Yeah,
guys there, then they have to,
correct.
sort of catch him in that fishing net.
Correct.
So here also, so when he's looking into room and other rooms, and so
Yeah,
and so yeah, so that antagonism came for a bit outside
yeah,
when he was fighting the goons, but once he entered, I think that that's also got to do with the soft spot he had for those guys, right?
yeah.
Because he considered them as his own and, sort of brother like, and then the emotional burst out that comes after that, he just sits there and he said, uh, he says something about love, I guess. I forgot the exact
He
subtitle.
wanted
Like, why can't,
everybody is with him.
yeah, why
They
can't
love
I
him for
for,
him,
yeah, for 1 minute, why can't, they, somebody love me just like that,
for
like
who I am.
selflessly, why can't, and then Amban
Oh
gets emotional.
my God.
So that
So
is,
good, man. His acting was superb.
yeah. No, I mean, overall, I really thought that. Uh, so one thing that I still have a beef with, and it can be ignored in a comedy film, because this is more of a comedy than a
Yes.
drama. But so, did you see a single policeman in the whole film? Like, I didn't know. I mean, he's killing
Yeah,
people, and
I did not.
there's no action. So I had the similar problem in Animal, but there it's still more prominent, and it's a serious film there. But okay, in a comedy
Yeah,
film you can still get away with these kind of things. But I didn't
yeah,
understand the fact that,
yeah.
so much is happening in the middle of Bangalore, a metropolitan city, and he's
At least they
killing
make it
people.
to the news.
Yeah,
They make it to the news at least.
makes it to the news. He's on holy event. He's you creating such a ruckus over there, and you know, there's
Oh
no
my
law
God.
enforcement at all. Like, he's just killing people, and with that
Correct.
knife, he's just killing like anything. There's no
Police
action
is not
taken.
there.
Yeah, so that
Law
was.
enforcement. Film industry thinks law enforcement are just useless. They are not gonna help anyway,
I
I
mean,
feel.
yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, throughout the film I kept waiting, okay, now maybe someone will appear, something will, some consequences he'll have to face for his deeds, and he just gets
He
away with
doesn't.
it. And they've left the ending so open ended, like the climax is so open ended, like it.
It's like
Yeah, and I
he
was not
just
ready for
changes
that.
his.
I was not ready for that climax. I thought,
I
something's
like
gonna.
I like the open ending. I feel that there is space for maybe something to do in future, which normally
That's
doesn't
true.
happen in Malayalam cinema. But at least Romancham is getting a sequel, that
Hmm.
we know for sure. But I don't know about this film. But I think I feel that it was wise to make it kind of open ended, because I still feel in this world there's a lot more to explore, like in terms of character journey and all, because these three
Yeah,
kids, they just passed first year, like in fact just one guy passed,
you one
Shantan
guy.
only passed.
Yeah, and the least expected guy passed. Actually, I was not
Exactly.
expecting.
So I felt that there's still so much to there. I like that it is open ended, because at least it's there that okay, maybe if they want to explore all of these dynamics in future, maybe they can, if they want to.
Yeah, they can, but uh, I mean, open ending. I felt that, of course, they might have a plan for a part two. Maybe that's why they've left it like that, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. It
Yeah.
had to have a complete roundedness to it for life to come full circle for them. And
Do you think there is a message, or there is some symbolism of Ranga changing his clothes from white to black, because obviously he was copying Reddy?
Yeah,
Do you think now that he is being original or something like that with the full black attire,
well, first of
or
all,
I'm reading too much into it?
when he came in black, the first thought that occurred in my mind was Vasuli Bhai from Golmaal, right? So because he's also dressed in black in the same attire with the same goon-like persona, but
Yeah.
there has to be something, because it can't just, with Malayalam cinema, they can't just do it for the sake of it, right?
Exactly. I don't believe it.
Yeah, if
Like
he's
there has to
wearing
be a meaning to it.
yeah, if he's wearing white for this throughout the film, and before he kills Reddy says that give me back my identity. So maybe he took
Right.
took took that offense that uh, once he kills him, he was like, okay, now I'm gonna make my own identity probably.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
and his jewelry also changes. He gets to silver
Yeah,
after.
there's no exactly.
Yeah,
There's no gold that
yeah.
he's wearing. So
So
that
so
was it. Maybe.
so in a way, he still gets his ending, right? Ranga gets his ending. But the three guys, like, okay, even Shantan gets an ending. But the other two, what's gonna happen with them?
They have to repeat the year. See, that's what I want to know. I was like, no, I want more of it. Like, please, let's explore this world. In my head, I was thinking that.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
and
and I have to
yeah.
just say, yeah, yeah, say.
No, I was just gonna point out the fixation Ranga has with the reels. That was such a nice added layer to his character. Uh, he, like, in that final outburst, he addresses that nobody gives me likes on my
Likes
reels.
my reels. And when the credits happen, the final
He
credits
has
roll, you
more
see that
likes.
he's actually getting
Yeah,
likes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good touch. Oh, but I loved the interval, like not the fight, but after like the fight happens when he bashes the seniors, everybody.
Hmm, hmm.
Then he is first threatening them in
Yeah.
Malayalam. Then he's threatening them in Kannada.
Canada.
Then he starts in Hindi. And
Yeah.
I am like, and Amban is like, no, no, people have to understand in this language also. We have to clarify everybody.
Yeah, but
I just loved
he stops him midway in
Hindi. They're
Hindi,
like,
no?
yeah, I was like, the people have understood. I was like, how do you even think of these scenes, man? It
Yeah,
was hilarious. I
and it
loved it.
Fahad spoke in Hindi a few times in the film. There are the two Hindi
Yes.
side goons, no?
To
So
Hindi
he,
guys.
he he
Yes.
talks with. I am just anticipating and hoping that this is sort of he's learning, kind of learning Hindi thoda thoda karke, and once he gets more fluent, he'll probably uh, uh, get into the Bollywood scene as well. because
Yes. Oh
it
my
didn't
God.
sound bad also, like, he
Yeah.
yeah, he was, I think he like, knowing him, how thorough he is with his process and everything. Maybe it's his call as well, that we let me keep a little bit of Hindi here and there, so that I can
Yeah.
do a little bit of practice as well. That's a
That's
nice touch.
nice. I loved it.
Yeah.
So that threatening scene was, it's my favorite. Whenever I was like, I just want to go and watch the film again just to watch that scene. It's so funny.
And that another thing I really like was the look they had for the younger version of him. The haircut and
Ooh.
the clean shave.
Oh, so good.
It reminded me of Animal mein when Ranbir Kapoor, the second
The
version
other
of it,
one. Yeah.
Aziz, when he comes at the end. So he had a similar haircut, and he had a similar
Correct.
sort of. That for me was more frightening than the current goon he became.
Yeah, yeah. He looked very the here though, obviously he was the funny goon. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was very, very frightening. So yeah, I would also uh want a spin-off. Like I say this in my review. Please give us a spin-off of Adventures of Rangan versus
No,
Rangan and Amban together.
I think there are so many Fahad performances in such films that the long list of spin-offs, like starting from Shami in Kumbalangi Nights, like people have so long, they have waited for something like that to happen. And
Yeah.
also, this was also produced by him, so he, Fahad Faasil and
Yes.
Friends, the logo came. So
Yes.
uh, I'm sure, like, he saw so much potential in this idea, and his role as well, that he decided to himself co-produce the film.
Yeah.
So that
I
was,
loved it. I loved how fun of a theater experience it was.
yeah,
Like you said, the last movie in theater of his was
Malik,
Malekunya.
yeah,
So
so dark.
different and so heartbreaking and dark. It was a survival story. And then from that to this, just seeing him just having so much fun, and you could see that he was having a blast playing this
Yeah,
character.
and so
He
with
was
so much
just
of ease,
bodying
like,
it with
that's the,
like this.
yeah, that's the strength of a great actor, that he doesn't
Yeah.
break any sweat in switching to different characters like that. So
Yeah.
uh, he and so much of weight he has lost, no, for this role as well. Like,
Yeah.
Shami, he had gained so much. For this, he has lost so much, and he doesn't look like
Correct.
in the younger version. He looks like our age. He looks in his 30s so easily.
Very young. He looks amazingly, like, I don't know, the commitment of this guy just to pull
Yeah.
off characters. Insane. Absolutely insane.